Hello everyone, it's Laura here, and I just wanted to go live. It's fairly early in the morning, so it's not too hot yet in my studio. Fair warning, I might be clumsy today. When I got up, I stubbed my toe, and then I just went to go get a big glass of water so that I could drink it throughout the show, and I spilled my first try at that. So we'll see. Hello, new people coming in. Hello. I don't have my laptop set up today, so I can't read the chat as thoroughly. Good morning, KS. However, the phone is fairly close to my face, so hopefully I can just read it as it pops up on screen on my phone. Hello, Cassandra. How you doing this morning? I hope everybody's awesome. Good morning. Alright, so I'll let a couple of people kind of file in before we get started, but good morning, WTF. Are you reading? Oh, yeah, you're welcome. So I'll just run through what we're going to cover today in this video and kind of wait for some people to pop in before we get going. This is unannounced. Hello, Gabby. Buenos Aires. Nice. I'm from Philadelphia. If you guys want to put where you're from in the chat, that would be awesome. Hello, Adri. How you doing? Argentina. Beautiful. The wonderful thing about the coloring community is it is everywhere in the world. So, yeah, if you guys want to put where you're from, Florida, nice. Sure, it's hot there right now. Australia, beautiful. So it's winter time there, right? What's the weather like? Because right now, oh, that's wonderful, Adri. Cassandra, because right now the weather is piping hot here. I'm just getting to bed. Oh, well, that's fine. Lurk away. Yeah, cold. Oh, I wish it was cold here. It's funny. Czech Republic, Central Europe. Phreneses? I'm not sure what that is. Sorry, Gabby. I'm freezing. Oh no. Well, you can pop over here for just like 2 seconds and you'll be toasty. Very, very, very cold. Oh my goodness. Alright, guys. Well, you can warm up with me. Not hot. Yeah, it's nice in the morning here. It's not too warm here yet. So it is 7 a.m. I got up 2 hours ago, and I had a couple of messages in my email which kind of have been bothering me enough that I was like, let me just go live and just do a video and answer these questions. So I'm sorry I missed what was in the chat. But anyway, these are a couple of doodles I've been working on. I'm doing a series of hitting 100 degrees here in Texas, KS. Wow. France, Julie? Beautiful. 18 Celsius and raining. Ugh. Raining. It's been raining here too. Thunderstorms last night. It actually, my car almost flooded. I had to move it. So we're just having quite the weather. Hot and stormy. It's like tropical. And I'm in Philadelphia, so it shouldn't be that way. Alright guys, well anyway, so I've been working on these doodles. This is my Steampunk Fairies series that I'm working on in my doodling account. I'll put the links to everything in the description after the video. But yeah, I've just been, I'm going to be doing a whole lot more of these. And they were really fun. She was really, especially really fun to do. So, next up, I just want to go ahead. Someone asked me a while ago. I don't remember who, so I'm really sorry I can't shout you out. But, and then a couple of weeks ago, someone else asked me, and then, so anyway, I've been, watercoloring outside a lot, and I can show you, what's in my bag. So this is what's in my plein air watercolor bag. Now, some of you who are following me on my Doodle account know that I'm actually making my own backpack. I'm repurposing a bunch of old fabrics to make my own backpack. I can share that if you guys want, but it's not finished yet, so I would rather just wait. But this here is the only backpack I own. I got it at a thrift store for like $10. I think it's a designer bag because it has held up really well over the years. But honestly, I just liked it because it was neutral and it looked sturdy. So that's why I bought it. So when I got this backpack, I didn't think it would be my watercolor bag permanently. So I'm just going to start opening it up and showing you. So I'm going to, again, I'll link everything I bought in the description below. I got these canvas bags at I believe at a Michael's craft store for like $10, and I've used a 50% off coupon, so they were really only $5. I like them because they padding everything when you're using glass or plastic that might break, especially when you're traveling through the woods and you're climbing rocks and stuff. So the first thing in my kit, I always keep a washcloth so I can dab my brush, and also, you know, just to wrap my things in if I want to. I find it nicer than using paper towels. So here's a little Median watercolor. It was an empty tin when I started. What I did is I just took a piece of paper and swatched out all my colors, and then just wrapped it in plastic and taped it to the back here, and that'll keep it from getting dirty or messed up, but at the same time it mirrors my box, so I can just quickly know what color I'm using where. And I'll show you how I set it up. I typically put my brushes here, so that's why it's kind of clean and not used very much. And you can see here I've been using a lot of greens and browns for my watercolor landscapes. So I'll just leave that right there. I'm going to take everything out of my bag and show you what I've got. I'll tell you how frequently I use it too. So I use this every single time I go out. I bought this thinking that it would be awesome as a case. I didn't really care about the brushes that much because the price on Amazon was really, really cheap. But the brushes themselves are not really great quality. That's okay with me. I bought it for the case, and I thought I would keep the brushes in it for a while and see if I would use them. As you can see, I really have not. I don't like them very much. That's just my honest opinion. They're okay for like crafting and like, you know, I'll probably end up using them for things like, you know, matte acrylic paint, things like that. But as far as watercolors go, they don't hold water the way I want a watercolor brush to, so I don't use these. I do sometimes bring them. I put them in the bag for this show just to show you. But I bought it for the case, so what I might end up doing is, what's great about this case is it velcros, and then there's like there's a way you can stand it up somehow. Anyway, I got it because I didn't have a travel case for my watercolor set. So I thought, you know, well, I couldn't find a nice one that I liked, but I liked this one. So I'm going to take the brushes out, use them for other things, and put my nice, you know, my really, they're still not like super expensive. I use these Princeton Taklon ones, or the Princeton Neptune fake squirrel brushes. These are my favorite, actually. I've become kind of spoiled by those, and I kind of want to upgrade my whole set to that. But Anyway, yeah, so I'll just swap out these brushes, but this was a cheap set. Again, I'll put it on Amazon. It would be good for a beginner. I've just grown kind of spoiled by nicer brushes at this point. So I do recommend that brush set if you don't have anything at all and you need something quick. So here's another one of my little canvas totes. I keep a bag of old watercolors that I've already done. That's because a lot of the times when I'm out on trails that are pretty well traveled, people come and stop and talk to me while I'm painting. And sometimes they want to buy something from me, and I don't want to carry big pieces or anything, but I do have these little watercolors that I've done on previous little plein air treks. So I just keep these with me, and I sell them for like $10, you know, in person. And just, you know, it's nice. I have my cards, so it's a nice way to connect with people if they want something from you straight away. And then I also have just a lot of this blank scraps of watercolor. I use these for testing or quick sketches. And I do have some paper towel. I don't use it very often. I use my washcloth more often because I can just wash it in the washing machine. And I have this little board. It's just a repurposed piece of cardboard that I taped, you know, yeah. Yeah, oh, the small pictures, yeah. So what I do is I keep this prepped. And I do have tape, you know, like this tape, you know. But I keep it prepped and ready to go. And this little thing here is like a little swatch sheet, so I can swatch my colors as I'm painting, and then here I am painting. So this is a nice little travel thing. If I don't want to get out my book or I'm standing up, this is lightweight and easy to hold as I'm standing. So this is a great little option depending on where you are outside. Sometimes it's not always ideal to be sitting down. So then let's move right on in. I know I said I would keep all this stuff out, but I have too much stuff. There we go. So there's that little bag. I don't use that bag that often, but when I want it, I'm happy I have it. And then here's my main. So I got this butcher tray. Originally it was $15. I got it on clearance at a craft store. I think because it's like sloppily finished or whatever. I don't really care. I use it a lot for both putting my watercolors in, like so, and also my water cups. It's helpful when you're on uneven ground and you want to level it out and make it easier to work on. And again, I keep my book wrapped in another, this is like a hand towel. Again, these are all cheap things that have had stains on them or whatever. I don't want to throw them away. They still work, but maybe I don't want to show it when I have guests over or whatever. So I'm using it for my watercolor kit now. So this little book is some of my plein air sketches. I do a lot of other sketches in other books, but this book here is one that I've been working on. So you know, you can use any kind of sketchbook. I prefer smaller sketchbooks just because you can complete a painting quicker, and it's a little bit easier to sort of manage your water control, and you don't have to use as much water, so it's a little easier when you're outside too. Essential to my kit is my little sun hat. I have an umbrella as well, and I can show that to you, but I'm not going to unfold it or anything. It's too big, but really, if I didn't have this, I would burn. I already am darker than I usually am, and I'm Irish, so I don't really tan. I just really need some protection. I use SPF 70 or SPF 50. I have that in my bag too. I will show you my little personal kit. But anyway, this sun hat, essential. Please get one if you're painting outside. Has saved me from getting burned. I have paper towels. I usually just keep these in the car for cleaning up after the session's over, but I just brought it in to show you guys. And then here's my water kit, is what I call it. So what I do is I have, hold on. So all of this stuff was really cheap. As you guys know by now, I don't have like tons of money, so I get everything on discount or like at the dollar store. It's really great. So it's good if you're on a budget. So I have this old water bottle I got when I was actually doing a charity walk. They gave it to us for free. So now I use it for my watercolor kit, and free advertising to nolanpainting.com if anybody needs something painted, I guess. So what I do is I just take my little water, I pour it. This is an old, I hate, you know, how much plastic I use in my life, so I reuse like everything nowadays. So this is an old salad dressing container that I had. Right, so now I use this as my water cup. And then I also pour water in here. So this is my dirty water, and this is my clean water. And then at the end of the session, when I'm done, I just take this, pour it into there, close both lids, and I'm off. Okay, I don't throw off my dirty water into the woods if I can help it. There's chemicals in those paints, and I don't want to be putting those into the ground. But at the same time, you know, if I have to, I will. But most of the time, I just take my water in and take my water out. This little container, then I just wipe out with one of my little towels, and I put upside down. This bowl is great. This was a $2 bowl I got at a local like convenience store or whatever. And it's plastic, but it's rigid plastic. I don't like carrying glass with me when I'm traveling because it's just not ideal if it breaks or anything. It's a pain in the butt in your bag. So this is an old Tupperware that I lost the lid to, so now it's my little water cup. It's great because it has like this nice edge to it, so you know. And then this again is just a stabilizer to keep things from moving around. So that's my kit. I also tend to bring food with me if I'm going for a long time. Obviously I bring drinking water. And then my personal kit I keep, and I'm just showing you this so that you know sort of what to bring if you're new to doing this. Now, I don't use all of this stuff again all the time, but when I want it, I'm so happy I have it. So this is like an old bag. I don't know. Oh, there it is, Envirosax. So that's that bag. I am a mosquito magnet, so unfortunately I use bug spray. And here's my sunscreen. I keep them in plastic bags because these have a bag before. So now I've learned my lesson. Especially on hot days, I think there's pressure buildup in those bottles. So in here, okay, I have all sorts of good stuff. I've got lotion, Neosporin. I've gotten cuts before outside. Got hair ties, matches in case I need to start a campfire if I get lost. I've got all kinds of things. Glasses wipes or lens wipe. Period stuff. I think I've got, yeah, here's some tampons down there. Q-tips. Mouthwash if I'm staying overnight. I have had to camp in the woods once, so that's why all this stuff is there. This is like medicine if I have a cold. Wet wipes, band-aids. I'm such a Girl Scout, what can I say? Hand sanitizer, that's for if I have to pee. Thank you, Hatrie. This is again a lens cleaning thing. That's an alcohol wipe, so that's good for also like cleaning cuts or anything because it's just pure alcohol. Chapstick and, oh, in case I meet somebody, no, just kidding. Mark, I love you. Alright, so that's it for my personal stuff. So you can see it's mostly just like a little survival kit in case I get stuck somewhere, and it's just like a little creature comforts thing that I do. So I also bring toilet paper, but I figured you guys know what that looks like. So the thing is now my kid is a little too big for that bag, obviously. So that's why I'm making myself a new backpack. But that's it. That's all I take with me. I'm just cleaning up a little so I can move on to the next thing. Alright, so that there is my watercolor bag. So what's great about that kit is it's portable, it's fairly lightweight. I take a chair with me if I know if I'm going to be sitting or whatever. Otherwise I take a blanket. It's fairly nice. I usually spend between 4 to 6 hours outside, so that's why I take all that stuff with me, because it's just over time I've learned, I'm like, darn it, I wish I had X, and then later on I add it to my kit. Alright, so the next thing is a couple of people have asked me over time. Sorry about the noise outside. The traffic is getting started. It is the morning. Friday morning. TGIF, guys. Alright, so a couple of people asked me, and I thought it'd be fun to answer it in a video, is what's my favorite coloring that I've done from other people's books or my books. So I thought I would just share that visually while I discuss something else that I just wanted to respond to. So this has really been bothering me / something I feel really strongly about. Good morning, Kenny. How you doing, sweetheart? So some of you may already know if you've watched some of my other videos, or if you've chatted with me, or if you've read any of my comments, or if you just know me as a person. Yeah, so I'm going to share my favorite coloring while I discuss this. So, I got an email, and it was actually from an old friend of mine who knew what I used to do. So this was actually done on my YouTube channel. I'm going to kind of be jumping back and forth between my rant and my stuff. So if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. I'll definitely get to them. If you have questions about the coloring that I'm doing or that I'm showing off, or anything I'm talking about, please go ahead. I want this to be a discussion because I really feel strongly about this, but at the same time I feel like there's a lot of room for different opinions about it. So yeah, this was something I did on my channel. It's almost done. It's a work in progress, but this is one of my favorite pages, so I wanted to share that. That's it for that book. I'm not sharing every coloring. Yeah, Adri. I'm not sharing every coloring I'm doing, but rather my favorites. So, this book, oh, I love this book. So anyway, I had an email, and somebody who I've known for a long time, but who I haven't talked to in a while. Let me adjust the camera a little bit, just so that now we're not so with the big bags. We're down lower with the, excuse me. Pardon me. There we go. That's a little better, I think. So someone emailed me and was like, what are you doing? Why are you coloring? And then they said something that frankly made me see red. I was pissed off. And I don't get pissed off that much. But I was pissed off. They said coloring isn't art. I'll just repeat that for those of you who didn't. Coloring isn't art. So, needless to say, I mean, still, yeah. So, I I really thought about what he said. Yeah, life is an art, sure. But more than anything, do we forget art history so quickly? This was fun. This was actually done in Crayola Crayon. And I'm also showing these to show you how they've weared over time. So this is over a year old. But the crayon really hasn't done too much of anything. It looks pretty much the same. I mean, there's a little bit of smudging, a little bit of, you know, anything like this. If it's not fixed, it's going to move a little, but... So Crayola Crayon, guys. Lasts pretty long if it's in a book. So I was really mad. I was like, hold on, guy. I know it's not like, a lot of people already consider illustration not as important as fine art. Thank you, Adri. Yeah, this is one of my oldest colorings, and it has actually held up pretty well over time. So, this is Prismacolor and Uniball white gel pen. And this is in, I'm sorry, I didn't call out the last book, 2 books either, but I did show the cover. So I'll just do that. I'll just show the covers. I'm going to put all of these in the description below, so. Alright. So this guy, he was really wearing me out. I was like, well, if coloring is an art, let's just run through the logic of that. Right? Like, let's just see it from his side for a second. This is what I was telling myself this morning. I was like, all right, this guy really believes coloring is an art. So let's try to be understanding of that. Oh, you can go ahead and do it, Adri. Don't worry. And hey, I have multiple copies of this book. If I mess something up, I just go to my next copy. I buy a lot of like 2 or 3 copies of books for that reason. So I was like, all right, sure, Kenny, well, even anybody, right? I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about everybody. Art is art, right? Like, did we forget about art history? Like, Duchamp's toilet revolutionized the way people perceive art. He said that it was art. He put it in a museum and people said it was art. Okay, it was a toilet. So if a toilet can be art, why? Okay. But I was like, okay, well, let me just run through this logically. If coloring is an art, then what do we call the skilled craftsman who worked tirelessly at Disney, filling in color in lines for animations that are loved by children all over the world? What is that called? Because in the credits it says colorist. So what is that not an artist? Because to me that animator is way more than an artist. I am like huge fan of whoever that is, right? So how could we call that person not an artist? So there's one example of coloring as art in a professional scale, right? Disney, all those animations hand drawn by people. There was a line artist and a colorist. All right, guys, so like that person is an artist. We're doing the same thing. We're just not, animating it. All right, here's another professional example. All right. How about, I'm just thinking this through logically here. How about graphic novels and comic books? So this is Flowers and Gems. How about comic books? I consider comic books art. I don't know if you do. But me, I totally do. I grew up reading comic books. My uncle, Kenny, My uncle was actually a huge comic book collector in the 70s, and now all you comic book nerds are going to flip out right now. So when I was a kid, I was a teenager. This is like a rabbit hole, sorry, but let's just go down it for a second because I want to give you a backstory why I really feel strongly about this because I've lived around this kind of art all my life, both with consuming animation on the television and the movie theater, and then also consuming comic books that were basically stored at my mom's house, at our house, from my uncle. So my uncle traveled all over the place. He was a construction guy, and he'd move from site to site. And so he stored his old comic book stash from the 70s, and I'm talking about old vintage comic books that were probably worth more than the house we were living in. I have no idea, but anyway, it was amazing. He made me wear these cotton white gloves when I was reading them, but I was really careful. And so I consumed like X-Men was my favorite. He had all of the Hulk and all of, what were the other ones he had? He did have some of the Superman series and some of the Batman series, but had all of the X-Men series. So I read all those. But my point is like those colored, again, those colored books, you know, not the black and white ones, of course, but the ones that were colored, full color, those had a line artist and a colorist, guys. Like, not all the time, but most of the time. Because in that industry, they recognize that doing line art is one kind of skill and doing color is another kind of skill. So those are my logical reasons why coloring is art. I don't even think it's like that. This is Serene. I think we are honestly doing a collaboration. I feel so strongly about this. Whenever someone colors in my books, I say thank you for collaborating with me. And the reason why is it's a collaboration. Oh, the color is so wrong on here. So, thank you. No, I feel like two artists are coming together and making one piece of art. And that's a collaboration, and that's totally legit. One artist starts it, the other artist finishes it. What's the deal? Where is there a problem? Who decided this wasn't art all of a sudden? So, pisses me off. Feel really strongly. That's my argument why coloring is art. I still can't wrap my head around. Oh, this was my first marker coloring. That was so much fun. Really fun. That's mostly Copic markers, some Tombow, and just a tiny bit of pencil over top in some spots. Yeah, that was fun. That was also the first coloring in this book. So yeah, I still can't really figure out how people could come to the conclusion that coloring is an art, only because, like, the people who draw the books are artists who have been drawing for probably a long time, and the people who are coloring the books, they may or may not be beginners or not, but I mean, I was a beginner, and any other artist was a beginner, so, like, where is that differentiation? All right, Kenny. So that's my rant. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I really feel like coloring is not only art. I think coloring is a celebration of community as an artist. By making line art that's available for other people to finish, I'm opening up a dialogue that's totally new to me and in an awesome way. It's almost like when I pick a page when I'm a colorist, because obviously you guys see I love coloring too. This was a page I did for Katrine. When I pick a page, when I'm flipping through my books, I go, well, yeah, it's a connection. Exactly. I go, whoa, that page speaks to me. I need to color that page right now. And then I go to town. And it's like the artist has spoken to me in a spiritual level. And I know that sounds maybe corny or whatever. But when I work with another artist, I feel, yeah, I create stories too, Adri. And I feel like when you're picking that page and that spark hits you, that colorist has switched something on, that creative juices or something. I can't really explain it. It's really hard to describe. If you don't color, you really can't. I really don't think you can understand, but I'm sure if you color, you totally get what I'm talking about right here. Like that moment when you're like, when you just start, that's one of my favorite moments as a colorist, is picking my page. And I think that's why I have so many whips, because I love that process. Is there another one in here, or is that, oh, that was just maybe one color. Okay. And then when I post it, if that artist gets back to me, then this is Mythomorphia. This is one of my copies of Mythomorphia that I'll show you today. This was a color along with my buddies. And then when I post the coloring, if the artist connects back with me, even cooler. And that's why I feel awful. Like, I've seen coloring where, like, someone just colored my work and I didn't see it in my feed or whatever. Oh, awesome, Adri. Yeah, I love this book. This is one of my favorite books. If I miss a coloring from one of my pages, I feel like awful, because I want to talk to everybody here. But it's impossible to find everything like right away, so I do my best, but if you've colored one of my pages, I just want you guys to generally know that it touches me so much. And as soon as I see it, and I'm sure other artists feel this way too, but it's like, seeing how the interpretation is different from my own idea kind of validates the reason why I make coloring pages to begin with, because there's so many ways to see something and everybody's vision is correct. It's all valid. So it's sort of a fascinating sort of like network of connections that we make when we color the same page. We're also, you know, kind of delighted when we see somebody else has colored the same page as us, because they've connected to that page on the same sort of level as we have, because we colored it. So yeah, it's a really interesting form of art, and I think that eventually everybody will get the idea that it is art, because all of these people who are just starting out now will eventually become skilled artists, and then nobody can argue. And nobody should be punished because they're a beginner at anything. Alright, this almost fits all the way in there. So this one's had some damage. The spine of this... Oh, dang it. That's the second time this morning. Alright, well, one moment please while I fix my disaster. Oh my goodness, I got myself Alright, I'm super clumsy. I was gonna take a drive today, but I don't think so. I don't think I'm leaving my house. Let's just clean this up. Luckily I have some paper towels right here. I had to change my clothes. I tagged myself with that spill. That's great. Oh my goodness, it got all over here. Insert elevator music here. Sorry guys. Maybe I should not have made this video today. Oh, good thing the printer wasn't there. Oh my goodness. Alrighty, well that'll do. It'll dry. At least it's just water. Anyway. Here, I'll show you guys the damage. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm missing the chat. There's it fell off of here and sprayed me, and yeah. Anyway, at least it's mopped up enough. So this was Prismacolor pencils. Was that your question? Oh man, guys. At least it's just water. Water and now some art stuff that got spilled into the... Anyway. Oh, and then here's one from my book. Here's my book. My book's well loved too. It's almost looking like my Mythomorphia with all the creases in it. But here's that page. I just love the Flutter font. It's so fun to color. So where was I? I don't even remember what I was saying before the spill, the great spill. Oh my goodness. Are you guys clumsy too? Or is it just me? I'm not clumsy every day, but it happens. Just, I don't know. I should have drank all that water, then I wouldn't have spilled it. Well, anyway, I don't really know if in my lifetime coloring will be considered... This is Lost Ocean, by the way. I don't know if in my lifetime art, coloring will be considered an art, but I think in time people will understand what we're trying to do. So this page was one of my favorites because of a sparkle, which, let's see if I can pick it up. So I tried to cover this page in stickles. Sparkly. I don't use sparkles on every page, but this one seemed to ask for it. So that was really fun. Yeah, so Adri, interpretation of the same picture I colored. It's so true. Yeah, you get joy from just seeing what other people did with the same page as you. So true. And that's like part of the coloring dialogue, part of the community, part of the way that we work as colorists is like, you know, it's fun. Like after I finish a page, I'm on Instagram and Facebook looking around seeing if I can find it by anybody else, and I'm liking their stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's such a cool idea, you know. But now I've learned to do it after and not before I start. Otherwise, sometimes I get page like deer in the headlights. So this is Magical Jungle. This page was fun. Yeah, I don't know what it is about it, but there is a lot of joy in coloring on all levels, I think. From creating the artwork, when I'm creating the line work for my own work, I'm imagining all the different ways that people could color it, and I try to make pages where any color could go in any place, and that's sort of like a fun puzzle or a challenge all its own. But also, then I try to imagine the colorists themselves when I'm drawing, like what they would want, what I would want if I were coloring it. So there's like a consideration for someone else. It's a very open form of art. And then when I'm coloring someone's work, it's like I can see a vision overlaid. When I'm flipping through the book, I see what I could do with it in my mind, and I'm like, oh, I've got to do it. I've got to like put that out there. And so that's sort of the way that I think, like, it's, I don't know, it's so cool. So yeah, coloring is art. I feel really, really strongly about this. Oh yeah, this page, I remember doing this page. This was my first page with Tomislav Tomic. And I fell in love with these books. Hey! Good morning, Jacqueline. So for those of you who are just joining us, we're just going through some of my favorite coloring and discussing why coloring is or isn't art. I'm strongly in the fence of coloring is art. Some people, I guess, are not. I've been getting emails. So don't email me more. Just put it in the comments below. Let's chat about it. Alright, Villain Son. Again by Tomislav Tomic. So this guy became one of my favorite illustrators. Oh, this book. Okay, this book's special. I'm going to try maybe, we'll see, to finish this book. So I'm keeping page separators to keep all the others. But we'll see how far I get. So this page was a challenge. I don't normally use yellow, and it was really difficult. Also, it's not picking up on camera very well, but it's got some sparkles too. And that tail. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his work. I just like the intricate details that he puts into his pages. I know some people might be intimidated by them, but I just find them really a joy to work on. And then there's this guy. This is again, one of my favorite pages to work on. I started out not really knowing the color scheme very much. I didn't really know exactly what I was doing, but it's just sort of unfolded. This was a very interesting page for me, artistically. And I grew a lot as an artist with Tomislav. I learned a lot. So those are my favorite pages so far. I also have, well, I can go through so much. I also have other pages, but I just thought, you know, I would just show you guys a little bit of my favorite stuff. So now, that's about it. That's all I wanted to share today. I just really wanted to discuss a couple of things. So there's my watercolor, some of my watercolor kit. Does anybody have any questions for me, or want to add something, or I feel a lot better getting that off my chest anyway. Coloring is art. Someday the world will agree with us, but until then, just don't worry about what anybody else says. Just do whatever makes you happy, because, you know, life's too short not to do what you love. And I love coloring. I'm gonna color till I'm done, so might as well, you know, talk about these kind of things if they bother us, right? I probably won't do too many coloring streams this summer, Adri. Only because I've been doodling on my own, and I don't have the I mean, I guess that instead of doing these frequently asked questions, I could do them, but most of the time I'm just hopping on these videos when there's something that I really need to address or talk about, and video, like showing off my stuff. It's easier to do that in a video, I feel. So, um, but the coloring streams I have planned for later on, so I hope to pick them up late summer, early fall. And we're going to be finishing up some old works in progress that we started on this channel first. So the mermaid lady, the lady with the butterfly, and the sunset behind her, and then also the Victorian Valentine, that background there. So those three I will be finishing first, and then we're going to get on into some new stuff. I want to do a lot more portrait coloring for you guys because that's something that's been mostly requested. The most requested rather. So yeah, so that's sort of my plans coming up for the fall for this channel. I also plan to do a lot more watercoloring though. That's why I showed this kit. This is a great basic kit. These watercolors are just all sorts of brands I had either laying around or whatever. And I'll just show you really quick, something I didn't show you before. I bought these little, I have it on an old teacup. I bought these little half pans. They're empty. Got them cheap. I'll put a link in the description below. And they come with a little magnet on the bottom, so you can just put them in there. Oh, and another thing I didn't show you guys, I'm sorry. In my kit, I'm all scattered today. In the front little pouches, I have this guy here. He's a little mister bottle, so when I'm starting off, it's way easier to activate my watercolors by just misting the entire area. So that's a quick way to get your watercolor activated. And then I have this other little pouch here. I'm going to move this out of the way. Has a little sponge in it that I got from an old kit a long time ago that I just kept because it's a natural sponge, so I kind of hate that but love it at the same time. These little travel brushes, I got this one from a Cotman set, a Winsor & Newton Cotman set, and it's a little brush. It's nice. What's nice about these is that they are travel brushes. And then this one I got from a friend as a gift. I don't know what brand, but it is an 8. I'll just put a comparable travel brush in the description below. So there's those two. These are just golden Taklon brushes. They're nothing fancy, but they do the job. Oh, and then I have more wet ones. Can you tell I use wet ones a lot? Okay, and then I have a pair of magnets here in case I want to pin the board down to this butcher tray, which is also metal. I use them sometimes. They're just little painted magnets I had. And here's why I keep this side of my watercolor tray blank. I said I was going to show you and I didn't earlier. So what I did is I took apart a clothespin, I painted it, put some magnets on the back, and then this is actually, you're gonna laugh, kneaded eraser. You know those sticky erasers you can buy at the art store? So what's great is it's sort of like clay. You can push it around when it's sticky. So if you're in the field and you've done this before, you know it's hard to keep your brushes from rolling around or so I just invented this little thing. And it just keeps them from moving too much. And yeah. So anyway, if you want a cheap little method of keeping your brushes from moving, this was, I think, maybe I don't know, a couple bucks, but I made it out of all stuff I had in my studio already. So there's that. I think that's it. I think I've gotten everything. Oh, and these two little magnets are just two little things I made a while ago. They're just a little piece of those, you know, those little wood bits you can buy at the store. Or you could get them, you know, you could take a branch and chop one yourself if you want. Then I glued a little magnet. These are nice high strength magnets. So I'll just use this, you know, I'll just put a watercolor page down. And these are so strong that they really do the job. Alright, I think that's it. Alright, if nobody has any questions, I'm going to take off. But I will do more coloring. But right now I'm doodling mostly, Adri. So if you go on over to Doodle Fairy, my Instagram, you'll see, I'll show you guys again. I think you missed it because it was before you came in. So I've been doing doodles lately. And every once in a while I just get into this thing where I want to work in color. But on my own artwork, just random concepts. So that's when I do that, I'm doodling. So here's a series of steampunk fairies that I started that I'm working on, and I'm going to be doing a bunch more of these, and I may or may not turn them into coloring pages depending on my sense of them, but basically this is just a project that I had a dream about, these fairies and this little fairy village of steampunk, you know, mushroom. It was such a cool dream, so I was just inspired to work on this project. But I will get back excuse me, I will get back to coloring once I'm over this little thing I'm doing. But yeah, it's funny, when inspiration strikes me, I kind of just take off with it and go in that direction. Yeah, so these two aren't super steampunk, but the ones that are coming up, this is like a warm-up almost. These two, so this one was the first one that I did, and then this one was a character that I remember from my dream. So this one was just like something I did just to like see. I'm trying to figure out a style here that I'm working through. So yeah. Anyway, so this one was like a test, and then this one was sort of like the first character that I'm drawing from my dream. So I'll be drawing a bunch more of them, but once I'm through all of the inspirational work that I'm working through, then I'll probably get back to coloring and doing live streams again. If you guys want, I can do some of these, you know, on my channel. It's just not coloring, so I don't know how interesting it would be for people. But if you do want to see some videos, I do have some videos already up on my Doodle Fairy Instagram account. Okay. Alright, well, I can even prep some sketches ahead and just do the coloring bit, and that's sort of like a coloring page, only not unless it becomes a coloring page. Well, anyway, I'm rambling now. Thank you guys for chatting with me, and I'm glad that I talked about the is coloring art. Yeah, it is different. You're right. And I'll just leave on the note that if you're going outside at all in the summertime or any time of the year, don't forget to protect yourself from the sun, because it is brutal. So I will leave here we go. I will leave the video on a note of, please, I'm like being a total mom right now, but please be good to yourself, and don't get sunburnt when you're painting outside. If you're painting outside, watercolors or anything else, yeah, totally enjoy it, but you know, check for ticks, do all that precaution and stuff. Because nobody wants to get sick. So, alright guys. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for hearing me out. If anybody feels strongly that coloring is not art, please tell me why in the comments below, because nobody ever gives me a good, reasonable argument as to why it isn't. So tell me why it isn't art. If you can give me a good logical argument, I want to hear it. Otherwise, don't email me. Alright guys. Love ya. Bye.